Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to CUHK Law and the latest in our Greater China Legal History seminar series. My name's Stephen Gallagher. It's my pleasure to welcome you today and also to introduce our distinguished speaker to you. Before I do introduce our speaker, let me just say that Professor Xiong will try to leave some time at the end for some questions. And I'm sure you will have questions because it's such an interesting topic. And if you do, please use the chat function. You can chat the questions into me. If you do want me to read out your name as well, then please say so, because otherwise I'll just read out the question. I won't be reading people's names out. So if you do want some credit for your question, please tell me and I'll read your name out as well. And when I read out the question, otherwise I'll just read out the question. So without further ado, let me introduce today's very distinguished speaker. Moulin is Chair and Professor of Institute of Criminal Law at the Law School of the Southwestern University of Finance and Economics. While he's been appointed the Guangzhou Intellectual by the university in 2022, he's also an adjunct lawyer in a law office in Chengdu, specializing in the defense for the innocent and death sentence defendants. He completed his PhD at the University of the Law School of the Southwestern University in 2012, whilst he was trained at the Sociology Department of the University of California, Irvine, as a visiting scholar between 2010 and 2012. He is a member of the General Assembly of Asian Criminology Society and a founding member of the Association of Chinese Criminology and Criminal Justice in the United States. With cross-subject interests, he currently develops diverse topics in criminal law, legal history, quantitative criminology and sociology, and empirical legal studies, and wrongful conviction and capital punishment are the most important interests in his academic life. And of course, because of those academic interests, his topic for us today is very much in line with the legal history side of it. So without further ado, let me hand over to Professor Xiong. Professor.
Thank you. Thank you. It's a great invitation for my research and share with some new thoughts with all the audience. And I believe the series of Greater China legal history will be great again. And I'm really glad to be here to share with the sentence in the Great Qing. First of all, should I share screen with all of you? That sentence in the history, China probably is one of the most interesting topic for academia and historian and legal professional and everything in our global change. So I have to mention why I choose this topic, because I started to research death sentence for decades. And sometimes when we read literature in current society or legal society, when we found probably there are more interesting things we do not make a very serious research. So I start researching the history of the sentence in Great Qing, probably start in 2015. And in the past several years, I make a lot of patients to research the sentence in Great Qing. So today is just the only. Today, what I wanted to share is only a part of my research. So several things to remind our great audience that the content of this article is based on the published article entitled "The Sentence in the Great Qing" and published in International and Comparative Law Review of University of Miami, right? And sometimes the publication is just only a part of the original manuscripts, right? And today, what I present and what I have already published, only just part of the original manuscript. So I have more and more details do not published yet. So this is the first thing. The second thing is what we do conduct more and more projects about the death sentence, death penalty in Great Qing, like execution, like some other topical and legal analysis and so on. So if the audience, if you have any question, and probably the time is not very long, so I cannot be able to introduce everything in detail. So if something you feel interested that I did not mention, please refer to article I have already published, and also to keep an eye on my research in near future. I think there are more and more important issues to share with you soon. And the fourth thing is, in this topic, what I want to share is only death sentence. It's more like annual death sentence, official statistics of annual number. It's not about legislation, nor about execution, unless sometimes I think it's necessary to understand the sentence. If they do not necessarily related to the sentence, probably I will not introduce it. So the fifth issue is the time range in this lecture is only about 1744 to 1840, not about after this, because something is really difficult to introduce and to write it down everything in one paper or in one lecture. So if you feel interested, probably I will continue my project. Probably will be end at next year to another part. So my aims to share with you today is just to want to return the truth of death penalty in practice to the historians, legalists, and the comparativists. So firstly, I want to say it's really important to how to assess the death sentence in longitudinal Great Qing, because it's over several hundred years. So I have to, we really want to know what is death sentence in the traditional China. So this is just a very good evidence and to some archive data to show the real practice of death sentence. And what I want to show you is who and what kind of crime were sentenced to death penalty. Just you imagine that a lot of property crime, robbery, and steal and safety nasty will be sentenced to death sentence in China, right? Just like in UK and the United States, everywhere in Europe, right? But is this correct or not? Or any difference thing from UK? As you can see, they published the manuscripts and some other countries, right? So I will show you. And the third thing is how many death sentences were made. People always wonder how many people get sentenced and how many people get executed. But in this paper, I will not tell you how many get executed. I can tell you how many death sentences. I have some evidence I will show you later. And is this number of death sentences is more or less to a country with many people, right? You know, the number of population in Great Qing is great, probably the biggest country over the world during the same time. The last thing is what I want to share is what a modern implication can learn from the historical China to the Great Qing. Something is really good or something is really bad, or anything we conclude in previous stage is right or not, we may have some implications.
Professor, I don't know if anyone else can hear you, but I think the sound was gone.
The sound is gone. Now it's okay.
That's better. That's back. You're back.
Okay, sorry. If
No
you
problem.
have any problem, just remind me. Okay.
Thank you.
In this lecture, in this seminar, I will divide my lecture into 5 sections. The first section is from a historical observation to recent comments. Firstly, we can say a lot of manuscripts and book and paper and essays, whatever, to comment on death penalty in Great Qing. So what I searched in just almost 3 or 5 months is just find many publications, especially books from a very, very early time, about the 17th century to the 19th century and the 20th century and just the 21st century. So what I want to share you here is several very, very great and very, very important book to understand the death penalty and the comments in Great Qing, because most of the book you can search on online database or bookstore or Google digital book, whatever. So most of this book just presented here, not all of it, because some book I do have, probably maybe 100 more. I do not present here. What I present here, just I think it's really interesting, right? You can see some book from John Francis Davis and John Barrow and Samuel Wilson Williams. So most of this book is frequently cited in the Chinese legal history and some other topics. But why I show here is just say probably some of the comments and the literal description about death penalty is more about speculation and subjective comments. It's not about empirical and evidential proof. So if you feel interested, you can read more introduced in my article to see how they feel and how learn the story from the friends and the others. So what I want to say is just this subjective speculation creates many miscomprehension and distortion. Distortation. Okay, sorry. And so I just generalize several issues. Firstly, tales about death penalty in China in the 18th and 19th century consists of subject speculation, distorted picture, and heresy tales with sentimental exaggeration. Because if you feel familiar with the history of China, you know, about 17th and 18th and 19th century, a lot of people from Europe visited China, particularly Canton, the port of Guangdong, right? Most people live there. And there, they always just share with something from others or whatever. This is the first thing. The second thing is our Western sinologists and travelers frequently describe China's descendants as human, lawless, cruel, barbarous, unjust, despotic, pernicious, and absurd. Every negative word they can use, publishing everywhere in English books. I will share with you why later. So most of publication published in that time is about how terrible of Chinese legal. But most of them do not have impartial comments. But one, I will show you later, Steno. Sir Steno has a very impartial comment, but unluckily, not every people believe it because the climate in that time is different. The third thing is Chinese people were compared to pigs, splitting attorney, sheep, in the context of this execution. For example, you see, two things strike you, the brutal matter of factless of the whole performance and the extraordinary case with which a human head can be chopped off. As a whole, it is precisely like a jaw of pigs driving into the seams and stock. And in detail, it is or seems not more difficult than splitting a turnip with a whole or lopping of a thistle with a can, chop, just like these comments. And just like Samuel Wilson Williams, in the book of the Middle Kingdom, he commented that the code contains many sections regulating the proceedings of courts, but the recorded case proves that most of these laws are dead letters. Some others comments, we have many. So just for example, Dr. Bencassel's description of capital punishments were all based on hearsay or the speculative stories of his friend, a gentleman, Reverend Tibet. In this book, he really confessed to this. So actually, I show you this picture is some great book you can read. The first of Da Qin Li, translated by Sir Stendhal, George Thomas Stendhal, published in 1810. This book is really influential across the inter-English speaking countries. Of course, some other countries get a translation from this copy. Like, of course, this is not the first translation about the Qing Code. But this book impacts all over the world with many evidence. In this book, Stendhal describes the code of the penal code of China, really impartial. In particularly, the death penalty in Great Qing is not cruel, is not brutal, is not bad as our imagination. He wants to create a new understanding for the English people and some other English speakers. But unfortunately, this book did not have a very objective recognition of the Chinese penal code, because the history of China, maybe most of English people will say the Chinese is a lawless country. So they don't believe that. But in 1899, and Ernest Arbust have another book about the criminal law, the Da Qing Li Li, wrote a commentary on Chinese criminal law. This book is really, really great because this book notices more and more details that Stanton change the original types of China penal code, and with more and more comments to the Chinese criminal law, just like a great monograph, really, really good books. And the third one is what I have noticed is the English book translated by William Jones, just in 1994, 30 years ago, right? Why? Because in the entire 100, I did not search some translation of the Great Qing Code. Probably it's legal history, but Jones' translation notice some mistake translation of Stanton made a mistake. But something, as I have already introduced in my article, and William Jones translated Qing Code is not an official book of code. It's just from another book. I think book is much more impartial by Xue Yunsen, the Du Li Chun Yi. You can see from his translation, right? And the fourth book is Law in Imperial China by Moulin and Morris. Maybe this is really an influential book from the English literature about death penalty in Great Qing. Despite his book is really influential, but most of his work about death penalty is only from the book Xing An Hui Lan, book by Shen Jiaben. So this book influenced by Shen Jiaben a lot. I will show you later another evidence. The recent book is two. First one is Professor Li Chen, and another one is edited by Italian professor Guido Abatista. This book, the two kind of books return more and more impartial image of Chinese criminal law and the death penalty about Great Qing to the readers. If you feel interested, you can read from those two books. Of course, we have more and more about the death penalty, like Brooks' book, Thousand Cards, but I do not present here because the space picture is not enough. So what I want through my introduction of the picture and some background, I want to show you the death penalty is always related to the civilization war, as advocated in the spirit of law. Montesquieu argued that China was a lawless country where everything was based on rites and habits of morally and held by the despotic governments. And also, he said, as they do not mention in what this disrespect consists, everything may furnish a pretext to take away a man's life and to exterminate any family whatsoever. Probably most people believe in Montesquieu, and it says the spirit of law. A lot of translation from a diverse language. But Voltaire did not agree with Montesquieu. Not only because he apprised the death warrant of emperor in the Emperor Qing, but also Voltaire comments that almost all Montesquieu's quotations are false. A very, very harsh comment. Also, Picarius indicates that must we have resource to the law of China to know how fragile we ought to be of human blood. It is now more than 4,000 years that the tribunals of that empire have existed. And it is also more than 4,000 years that the main subject at the extremity of the empire has not been executed without first transmitting his case to the empire, who caused it is to be thrice examined by one of his tribunals, after which he signs the death warrant, alters the sentence, or enter acquit. Picarius said what he wants to say is the death penalty in China is really very serious, with a lot of proceedings to control the killing, like the empire's ratification and the review process. George Thomas Statham published his translation, as I said, in 1810. What he wanted to do is to restore the view that the Chinese legal system and the use of death penalty in Chinese law were civilized, revealing the lenience mitigation and a favorable exception to the death penalty contained within Dacheng Li. If you have time, you can read this book. In the preface part, a lot of comments to highly appraise the Chinese civilization of death penalty. Of course, you say death penalty is not civilized because kill people. But in some background during the same time, we have to say a lot of civilization when you compare to what happened outside China. So in the book, as I said, Alabaster comments are really impartial. He states that the code, when its procedure is understood, is infinitely more exact and satisfactory than our own system, and very far from being the barbarous cruel abomination it is generally supposed to be. Right. This book, for if you are criminal law in history and a criminal students really interested to China, I highly recommend you to read this book. This book is really, really good, with many details and explanation, generalization, and described everything about the criminal law. He knows the criminal law of Qing a lot much. So, as I said, why distorted? And I think the distortion originated from the race controversy between Chinese civilization and the Catholic rates based on Eurocentric religious standards. Right? If you know the history, in 17th century and in 18th century, what happened between Europe, Catholic, and to Chinese empire? You must understand how important the ritual, the race controversy is impacted by the death sentence. Of course, each other. Of course, vice versa. So this is the first reason I argued. The second, I say, is because the European, like UK or France, like the other country, use the pretext of the shortage of law to embellish the commercial benefits and legal immunity by defending extraterritoriality as a means of bringing law and order to states of nature in the Sino-foreign contact zone. The third reason is the anti-Qing Empire writer were law legalists who stay in China for only a few years and whose knowledge of the Chinese language was problematic. Ku Hongmin noticed this very much. As I cite, he say, just like Samuel, probably the Chinese is not very good. Or Davis, sometimes he writes in his English book. The fourth thing is very excessive attention gave to the crime of treason, parricide, rebellion, robbery, homicide, and price. But this crime are far more severe than most common capital crime in ancient China, right? If you read it, the translated book of Da Qing Lui Li, a lot of place, the crime is not like the very, very, very severe capital crime. The five things, as I said, heresy and speculation, most of just from the news reports in packing gazettes. And the sixth is a writer paid much more attention to the over-exaggerated lin qi, means like translated by slinger, death, 1,000 cuts, whatever. But about the lin qi, is it real? So some writers say it's not real. Some say it's real. But to my knowledge of lin qi, I would like to trust lin qi is a fixed images of death penalty, because lin qi was not one of the 5 palliative or standard forms of death in the Qing Code, and rarely used in practice. And I noticed some publication about lin qi, but the number is not too much, and whether it is real, existed in great Qing, and this is about to kill the people or just split the body, the corpse. Can be not conclusive. Now, so another reason I think why is reports on death sentence focus on local justice in Canton, where foreigners were confined and clustered, and thus were hardly representative of the whole empire. I will show later some provincial number of death sentences in the national Qing China. Guangdong probably is the most harsh province in that time. Some place in other province is not harsh like Guangdong. One reason probably is the population number, but I cannot fully reveal the details of provincial number here. Another reason I think why distortion as a prejudice emerging as a groundless but emotional response to the decapitations carried out against foreigners in 60s, Lady Hughes, and Terra Nova, and so on, because this case is all against the foreigners. Probably most of the foreigners cannot believe they will be sentenced to death sentence and killed in Qing China. So they have a negative feeling about the kill of the foreigner. And European allies, I think, it illustrated tyrannical corporal punishment in China used distorted drawn punishment of China, because this is a book or is a picture, but the picture is drawn by people. It's not the real sites of death penalty or any other punishments and procedure measures. It's only a picture. People's draw a picture. A photographer draw a picture. So this book, published in 1801, presents a cruel and a barbaric execution. So that's why Stendhal want to translate the Da Qing Li. Unfortunately, the real important reason, as I mentioned before, Stendhal used a long official versions of the code for translation, and he deleted the subsection detailing capital crime statistics for each type of death penalty, and all the Li article. What is a Li article? Just like a case review or an official deduction from case, but it is not about the law article. It is only a judicial guideline. I have this difference, the two things, Li and Li. I will show you later. So why I think Stendhal used a non-official code? You can say, I'm sorry, I did not translate every detail about the page, the first pages of the book. Stendhal used to translate. The original book means 大清历历重定集注通转. What does this mean? It's about someone explains the law and add more Li article and added the books. And some parts of the book appends with another another regulations like 督捕责令, or just like the criminal process. All right, some article. But if it is only about 大清律例, it will be a very pure, include Li and Li. Nothing else will be put in the official code because it's official code, right? Unfortunately, in the past year, 100, 200, I think, not every writers of the Chinese legal history notice the original version of Stendhal's book is not an official code. Of course, I have more evidence, but I cannot fully explain some more evidence. And I have more than 10 copies of official code. Everything is same if they are official code. But if they are not official code, they have some similar things like this book. So In recent years, more writers notice the choice of death penalty is not as our imagination as before. Just like Thomas Boyer indicated, comparative studies of legal system in the West have largely ignored China's rich legal heritage. Qing, of course, and Lebanon states, at first blush, it appears to be a world of cruel and harsh punishments where the death penalty was readily employed and not so readily challenged. But in practice, this was not the case. So the second part, I want to introduce a background to know death sentence. First, I want to show the type of death sentence. I promise you, most of the translation of Chinese Qing code do not fully understand how many type of death sentence in Great Qing. As I show you in this picture, seriously, I would say there are 6 types in plus 2 additional type. But the 6 is different from the general law, because in the general part of Qing code, what death sentence have is only 2 types, strangulation and decapitation. But in the specific section of the Qing code, the 6 laws, like Xiong law, Li law, whatever, just like a chapter, right? They have different types of death penalty. Some is nominal, some is suspended, some is immediate execution under the 2 types of strangulation and decapitation. And for the types of execution of decapitation, we can divide it into 3 types. Again, one is just cut the head, very simple. Another is lin qi, just like a 1,000 cut. I would believe it's just the 1,000 cut for the body, it's not for live people. And the third one is after execute, the head of the offender will be publicly hanging in somewhere of the city. So this type of sentence, what I want to say is, so the nominal types means never to be executed, because it's only just nominal. The second type and the second category is suspended type. This suspended type divided into strangulation with suspension, decapitation with suspension. Both are almost impossible to execute, with some really rare case. And this, for all the suspended type of case, have to submit for retrial at the autumn assize. You know, it's really hard. It's not like today, from just like a Chengdu to the capital city of Beijing, maybe 3 hours. But if it happened in the Qing period, probably it will take many days, weeks, probably months. It's not very usual to get a trial and autumn assize. Of course, we have some number of the autumn assize. That's what's included in this lecture. The third is execution, where executable, but had to wait for a centralized review by the Ministry of Punishments, and then have to submit it to the empire for ratification. It's very hard process to execute a people. More and more complicated here than here. Even just like a sentence to death with immediate execution. And the fourth is not a formal type, it's execution or a corpse, as I say, lynching and the public hanging, just like we say, 枭首. So this is the types. Why I want to emphasize the type? Because I want every audience of our experts to know the destinies in Great Qing is really, really lenient and flexible to be executed and spare life. So in this part, I want to show you some number of capital crime. You will say, okay, how many capital crimes in the law? So that's what I want to show here. Because why I want to show here is only because some book in Chinese or in English have already totally misunderstood the capital crimes in Qing code, just like a Senjia, Senjia is probably great reformer of Lady Qing. He mentioned that the capital crime increased from 239 and real and 36 nominal capital crime in Shun's empire to 840 more articles in the President Lu and Li, which was so proliferate. It's so big and serious about a long of such stakes in president dynasty reach out as the president. Also, Moulin and Morris said Qing had 813 death political crimes. This number is very, very larger than the previous dynasty. Of course, his number used another book read by Senjia, the number of death penalty. He mentioned Tang, Song, Yuan, Ming, and 300 more capital crimes. But this all totally the number, and whatever 300, whatever 800, nothing matters. Why? Because in Ming and Tang, they do not have Li. What they have is only Lu, just like the code article. They do not have a case review article. That will be a very vital difference. But some background in Lady Qing, they want reform, so they do not care what difference, and they don't want to use the real number, because if the empire, the king of the Qing know what is the number, and some real gentleman knows the real number, probably the reform law will not keep going on. And this is a number. What I show you here, I cannot promise you this is the first time, but I would like to say 109. I would like to say 99% of this picture is a full image of this capital crimes in the whole history. of Qing China. Please notice two things. The one is the total number. The total number increased from China 442 to Guangxu at 813. It's real. But this number is include Lui and Li. And this number is also about the whole types of death sentence, including nominal and suspension. And most people will not be executed. The first thing. The second thing is, you say the number of Lui, I highlighted by gray. You see, every place is the same. 191 from China to Tongji. Almost 130 years, nothing get changed. What's this mean? This means the number of capital crime in code, in the real code, never changed. What changed is only the Li articles. Well, as I said, it's just like a case review article. It's not a law article, right? Okay, now we can say some, probably we have already misunderstand, not only about, not only the some criminal experts in Europe and in other countries, but also in our late Qing gentlemen, some officer, because they want to change. They do not care what is the real situation. They do not want to emphasize how great the Qing code is, because they want legal reform. So the third thing I want to introduce here is the number of death sentences in literature, right? I try all my best to make this paper include much more details. So I search in Chinese and English publication and French publications to restore the image of Qing death sentence in Qing dynasty. So from this picture, you can see some a lot of we have 5 literature source about the death sentence. 2 from Chinese, 2 from English, 1 from French by James Lee. Their publication mentioned some years of annual number, and some includes the annual execution, just like Li and Chen. And most of them, all of them include an annual death sentence number. And also they list some different type of crime, just like killing in a fight, robbery, homicide, offending, accusation, rape, and adultery, shot smoking. So from this picture, I can see 3 things. One is the annual death sentence is about 3,000 in nature, but the annual execution is about just like 800, just like 20%. And this is the second. The third thing is most of the death sentence is killing in a fight, right? And you can from 4 sources, this similar. And the fourth thing is you can see some uneven distribution, like Sichuan, and Guangdong, and Jili. Sometimes the difference, but those things Sichuan, Guangdong, and Zhili, the province, are the first four province, almost 200 every year, case every year. This is the fourth thing. So you may say, okay, we have 5 literature, so we don't need to keep going on research. No. Why? Because you can see the number from the 5 source in previous study. What does they have years? Only about 20 years or maximum 38 years. Actually, in their time range, over 100 years, which means probably more data, more years have already lost. So that's why I take time to conduct this research. Okay, in this section, I want to show you some data and some research design. First is about the data collection. It's really a complicated article because the project is really exhausting. Despite although I'm not a legal, I'm not a historian, but I feel interested to legal history. So we made every effort what we can do for this project. First, we try to collect annual statistics of death sentence in the Great Qing. Based upon the previous literature review, we found that one of the key sources of death sentence as annual statistics is kept at the first historical archive of China, which is located in Beijing. If you have time, you can visit Beijing and to hand copy some things just like we do. After this, I will show you later. What we have only 56 years, just more than 20 more than the previous years. But I think we can find more and more. So we keep search data. We found another 3 years from Mingqing archives, Mingqing Dang'an. You can say a serious book with many volumes of archives. And so with this data, we arrange on 4 steps to collect data. First is online search archive files. We try every word and every detail what we can to find the archive of annual death sentence. I will show you later. Second, we make many appointments to visit first history archive of China to read and hand copy files. Why? Because the online search system do not reveal the detail of the file. You cannot read the contents. What you can search only title and the document number. So we have to copy in person. So that's why the second author, Liu Zhen, he is my PhD students. I arranged him to fly to Beijing to stay 1 month just to copy everything what we want. The third is just we search annual number from the source, just I see it, and we read all numbers and all files one by one, and include data sets across type of data, according with code book I designed. So this is the first thing. The second thing we have to, because I want to reveal the population rates of death sentence, because if we don't have population status, we cannot make any even conclusion to any comments about the capital justice in Qing China. So we use a paper just written by Jiang Tao. population survey in Qing dynasty and the population statistics. Of course, this paper is statistic inference, but I believe the number is much, much more reliable. The third thing is data about England and Wales for the comparative purpose to assess the Great Chain. If you know, England and Wales, the first country to overcome China to invade for some commercial benefits. So most of them argue as they want extraterritorial immune system. So I want to use England and Wales to help me make a conclusion. So we made 3 types of data search. First one is historical legislation to review death penalty in the whole archive and the book, whatever we can find from English data and the database. And the second is number of death sentence and execution. The third is the number of population estimation and the survey. That's what data collection. We have in a very specific explanation from in the article. You can see from the picture of here, right? If any of you feel interested, want to search something, you can just just type the title. Okay, I show you. And you can find, of course, and sometimes the title is different, but we have our keywords. We just search one by one, and to construct a database with 56, and then to make appointment, right, to visit. This is a number from here, the down number of archives. And here is everything is our hand copy, right? Hand copy, we visit the archive, and they will offer you a computer, and you cannot take a picture and take a photo or whatever, and you cannot copy any documents. What you can do is just only type words by the computer. And you can also cannot copy Word documents. What you can take out is only PDF. That's what we have. We have years of years. Okay. From first one, you can see, as I introduce you, that in the 9th years of China, Pen Zhao Zhu, this a gentleman asked the empire, not ask, suggest empire to make an annual statistics about death sentence case. And then the first year of reports issued in the 10th year of China, but the number is about the previous year. The number said, and just like 340 cases, rape and adultery case, and just like several other cases about homicide and assault, smuggling, whatever. And another source we found from the archive, Minqing archive, is from the Minqing archive. As you see here, probably it's not very clear. You see, it's annual statistics in China, 9 years. The same thing. It's just a different source. Okay, this is hand copy. The following picture is about the death sentence and executions in England and Wales. It's really, we mine every word, every number and the details and law from not only these 4 books present here, more I don't present because I think it's much more easy to understand our data source of UK. So simple and annual observation, as I said, what we have is totally 68 years in this project, including data from the archives, the first archives and the Ming archives, and more from the previous data reports by some other authors. Of course, we can select which one is trustable. And this table of contents is about who submits the annual number of death sentences to the empire. Most of them are really the top position in the officer in Great Qing. Totally, what we have is 59 files. Okay, so every year reported the last year and one by one, and some years we cannot find. And the another one is I want to introduce about the mention review. What is the mention review? What I say is just like a centralized review today, just like centralized review in today, because in the ancient China, the death sentence is really serious. So almost every dynasty have a very complicated and system of centralized review. We call it Fuzhou. Under this system, that means every death sentence in counties and upheld by provincial higher courts, just like official. If they approved, and then must be submitted to the empire and emperor for approval. Before emperor approval, the Ministry of Justice will firstly review. So the Ministry of Punishment play vital roles on the review system. So first, they accepted a copy of reports of death sentence motion when provincial governor submitted it to the empire, reviewed all death sentence case or remanded it to the lower provincial judiciary, particularly outside the capital province, Jili. Is right down in the Qing Code. The third rule is report the decision they made solely or in conjunction with the judicial committee, 大理寺, or and censorate to the emperor via memorial. 督察院, of course we call 三法司. Made a just the fourth rule is more made a due record for the decision of empire review. Evidence, so all the comments and explanation of the Ministry of Punishment is we can see some evidence. The one evidence is all of the file with annual sticks motioned in our data sets were reported by one or several heads of Ministry of Punishment. And about annual statistics, you can say on December, just I said, Peng Zhaoju, gentleman in Holland thorough monitor suggests to collect national annual statistics of vital case regarding capital case by the Ministry of Punishment in a year, including robbery, rape, and adultery, and sword smuggling, homicide, killing fights, and often accusation. often accusing, just like the kids accuse their parents. It's not a legal behavior in Qing China because the rates. And all annual reports we searched, mined, compiled, and submit in March or early April of the following years, which abide by royal tradition to hear the annual vital issues of the last year in March. And numbers in this article relate only to death sentence motion by primary provincial decisions rather than as a ratified or unratified decision of the empire of the death sentence review, as I said before. So our evidence why I'm sure it's about death sentence review case. The first is we have 3 official reports of the annual examination mercy or commutation. That means this number is include mercy and computation case. Is not only the execute, but also include more original case from the provincial governor. And the title, the second evidence, what we want to emphasize is the title is Reports Statistical Yearbook of Nationwide Motion for Robbery, Rape, Assault, Gangster, Murder, Killing, Fight, and Miscellaneous Crime in some years. This, of course, this is translated by me because the original Chinese words means like this. So annual statistics, of course, I have to confess that the statistical unit of death sentence is a number of cases. It's not the number of persons, right? Case and a number, case and person. Probably some case, one case include 1 or 2 persons, but it doesn't matter. It's the difference is negligent and negligible because we have some other source to infer to communicate inflation number, how much the inflates level. It's not a big. So my analytical strategy is to say, oh, come on, just annual number of the first sentence, several number here. Okay, because what I have is only 17 minutes, so I try my best to get fast. First, figure 1 I will show you later is the annual number, and the first difference time series analysis. The figure 2 I will show you is the death sentence rates per 100,000 people, and the first difference time. The table 4 I will show you is mean, median, interquartile range, interquartile range of annual death sentence in decades. The table 5 is difference among empires, and table 6 is specific distribution of numbers in 6 categories of death sentence. And table 7 is a comparative analysis of death sentence number and rates in Qing Empire and in England and Wales. And table 8 is a re-analysis of death sentence execution pardon across crime in England and Wales between 1760 to 1830 to address most of the capital cases in UK are small value property crimes like 5 shilling, 40 shilling, 30 shilling. It's not a big number. While property crime in Great Qing was not punishable by this penalty. I will show you later evidence. So this picture is a number. You can see a very, very interesting thing as a number from the middle of 18th century, 1744 to about 1820, the number is keep going increasing. But after 1820, the number just decreased. It's really, really interesting. I have some explanation for this trend. Probably it's about the war, because China Empire is an empire of war. And the second figure is about the death sentence rates, people per year and per 100,000 people in Great Qing. You can see the rate of death sentence, you can see from basically similar with the annual number of death sentence, just like after an 1808, or the number of annual death sentence rates is decreased. Of course, death sentence rates is also about the demography and population statistics. So probably the people more and more, and the people, the more get sentence deaths as we imagined, right? But the number, the left figure I present here is say even the population is increased, but the death sentence rate is decreased, and the death sentence number is decreased, which means the number of death sentences must be decreased after 19th century, right? And in the 19th century, from 1800 to 1840. The first difference of population and death sentence rate reflects the similar information, just sometimes the number flags a lot, sometimes flag a lot, not too much, but the number is really, really even. This number is about the annual status of death sentence in Qing Empire. You can say, of course, number, the total number, and 680 years, the mean number is 3,000 about. And the average number of deaths and rates, we also show some number to observe if the number is decreased or not. We can say the number from China to Jiaqing, the number get increased, but Jiaqing to China get decreased number. The similar information from as the figure we present. Of course, the death sentence rate, population, and death sentence signify very interesting things, and the death sentence rate is keep going down from China to Daoguang. As I said before, the war emperor of China. And distribution of death sentence case in 6th category. What I want to say is that, as you can see from the previous literature, that homicides and killing in fights mean death sentence. Remember, almost 80% of death sentence in Great Qing is homicide and killing in fights, which means most of death sentence is related to violent crime. The first thing. The second thing, you will say rape, robbery. Robbery case in Qing China, annual number, the average level is about only 10% of the death sentence case. And remember, robbery, well, which is sentenced to death sentence, must be involved violence. This is a legal article to
Professor,
some people getting hurt.
Sorry to interrupt you, but we've got about 8 minutes left.
Okay, I will fast as much as I can.
Sorry to remind you.
Almost finished. So the 5 parts of my presentation is about a discussion on the death sentence, then a comparison with England and Wales. The first thing is what I want to say is bloody codeless Prof versus code stability. For you in United Kingdom, they do not have a code, despite many writers use bloody code, but I don't think it should be used bloody code. I would like to say bloody codeless, or bloody acts, or bloody bills. Some description of the history of England and Wales reveal a very interesting story. Just the first, you say 41 types of aggravated execution and post-execution punishment of advocated for murders and property offers between 1684 to 1752, and a very conservative estimate is that 200 to 300 capital crime were aided by the end of 18th century. The politician Sir Thomas Fowell Buxton indicated only on May 23, 1821, the 18th century witnessed a 4-fold increase in the criminal law, but only 3 acts were legislated prior to 17 among 20 versions of penal statutes. Okay, this is you can say from the 1891 to 1752, a lot of acts add death penalty. And in 1837, for example, the widely read Justice Handbook was still insisting that if there is an express charge of felony on oath against the presenter, though his guilt appear doubtful, the justice cannot wholly discharge him, but must bail or commit him. And you can say, but very interesting that what happened after 1810, around many capital crimes, particular property offense, repealed in the following 50 years. Under 1861 Criminal Consolidation Act, the number of capital crime was reduced to 4: murder, high treason, arson, in a royal dockyards and a private and a piracy. Why a big change from in UK just only after 1810? My analysis is because something translation from the Daqing Li in public impact the UK's law reform, while the number, whatever you say from the table in previous pages, the number is really stable, about 3,000, right? From the 1444 to from 1744 to 1840. Nothing get changed. So I say it's called stability because the whole number of capital crime is only 191 during the whole Qing dynasty. So second discussing is, I want to say, is UK, just like England and Wales, is really progressive killing, while Qing China is really conservative killing. This is some number, right? From Henry III alone hunt over 72,000 people during his reign in law, about approximately 3.5% of the population of UK, and more number, right, from execution, and from 1735 to 1799, right? Almost every year from 2,200 more every year. 200 more to every year about from here 50 people. Why? What happened? And if you recognize the change number is only happen after the Da Qing Li translate standard translation published in England, Wales, the number get decreased and the law changed. But before that, probably killing in England, Wales is really abusive. You can see a lot of comments from this. While the Qing China is trying to decrease the number of death sentences, they are decreasing. It's really interesting. And this is some number from population, death sentence, execution, and you can see from number. I computed from the number. You can see England and Wales, the sentencing rates per population per 100,000 from 4.5, while the Qing Empire death sentence rates is 1.36, right? It's really conservative computation. I believe the real difference between England and Wales and Qing Empire is much, much larger than what we can imagine, right? This is the whole story of this. So the commodities and difference is both England, Wales, and Qing China, a very similar phenomenon of an eye for an eye to get a revenge on violent offender to kill them. But difference is the very big difference. The first is property crimes, just you can see from here. I will show you later. Property crimes in England and Wales is the majority of death sentence. Like 90% of them is death sentence. By contrast, property crimes in China are almost not death punishable. Right? This is the first difference. This, of course, the second difference is the cattle crime and of crime punishable by death in Qing China have some rape crime sentenced to death, but normally they are just nominal or suspension, just like offending accusation. The kids accuse the parents, they will have a death sentence with suspension probably. So this is a number you can see from here. Totally number, most of them are property offense in UK and Wales. You can see from here, right? Property offense, just like 90% of them, and most of the death sentence is just like horse stealing, sheep stealing, and cat stealing, and larceny, and stealing, whatever. So my conclusion is, whatever the history happened, and whatever the previous literature comments, it's time to return the truth of death sentence in Great Qing China. And also we return a road through anti-orientalism to know the real happening in Qing China, to know the real legal legacy of law in Qing China. Okay. Okay, so I think the time probably is over. Some comments for my conclusion is just this. Sorry, my university is contracting somewhere, so a little bit noisy. I ask someone to help me and let them stop. Sorry. So I think we have more and more conclusion and reference to the global society. If we already know what happened in Qing China, okay. I think that's all. Oh, okay. Because the noise is a little bit upset. So actually, we do have more and more data and more analysis with comparison in French, Italian, and Spanish and American. But we do not introduce all of them in this paper. But I believe whatever the reality is, I believe the real situation of Qing China is much more menacing than what we think. And probably the reform of legislation in UK is impacted by Qing China code. So I invite more scholars to explore the laws, legal tradition, and criminal justice in Qing Empire to get some help with the global evolution of capital punishment. Okay, thank you. I'm really sorry for a little bit time over.
Professor, don't apologize. That was excellent. Thank you very much. Very interesting research and very interesting conclusions. I never thought that I'd ever hear that the British legal system could have been influenced by the Da Qing, but maybe that was what happened or whatever. And of course, highlighting that fact that perhaps the English system was far more bloodthirsty. Particularly, you mentioned the issue of the treatment of the corpses. Of course, in England, much was done with the corpses afterwards to make an example. And even the fact that convicted murderers, their corpses were handed over to the surgeons for dissection as a sort of further punishment as well. So it's a very interesting sort of note to make. I'm afraid we've run out of time. We have got some questions. Perhaps I can pass those questions on to you afterwards about your research, but we are over time and we do need to finish up. So thank you very much for a very interesting presentation. I will just ask for the future events, if Jay can share the slides for those, we can publicize some upcoming events for CUHK. So we have on the 3rd of November, we have the next in the Greater China Legal History Seminar Series, Contracts as Tools to Promote Morality and Social Order, the Tang Dynasty's Regulation of Contractual Relationships. So we're very much looking forward to the next in the Greater China Legal History Seminars. And then the next event is, thank you. Yes, we have a teaching and learning seminar coming up on this Wednesday, where we'll be discussing technology enhanced learning, the challenges and opportunities really of things like virtual teaching. And then the next event, we have the impact of Pillar 2 and the Globe Rules on the future design of tax systems and tax incentives, which is from our Tax Law and Policy Forum, which is on Thursday, the 12th of October as well. So all of these events are upcoming. You can join them online. Please feel free to go to our website and sign up for these events. But now, I think that was the last event we had to publicize. It just remains for me again to thank our presenter, Professor Xiong, for a great presentation, a very thought-provoking presentation. As I said, we did have a number of questions, and actually I'm very pleased you carried on and explained more about your theories and your research as well. So thank you for joining us. Thank everyone for joining us today as well. I think we had well over 350 people who joined in today. So lovely of you all to support CUHK Law and the Greater China Legal History Seminar Series. And we look forward to seeing you at future events as well. Bye-bye. Thank you.